is the 8th of August. This is Rabbi Furst. Parsha Hashavua with Rashi.
Thank you, Lou. As Lou mentioned, Rabbi Stone first here, she would Tamanashi here, Shrine to Zoom, and we'll, as Hashem, continue uh, on this week's Parsha. Parsha's Vaeschanan, and I'll directly we'll start here in Perik A.
A.
And by Kamishi, Perik A, Pasuk Yud Tes.
Yud Tes. Yud Tes. Yes. Yes. Yud Tes.
You see, it starts right by Chamishi, Esa Devarim, Ha'ela.
Okay, I see it.
Okay, so this is the previous Parsha had just spoken about the Seres of Hebrews. This is a continuation of that, right? And if you look at the previous 10 psukim or so, that's basically the Seres of Hebrews as repeated here in Parshas Vaeschanan. And now Moshe Rabbeinu is continuing on, still referring to the what we call Maimed Har Sinai, the acceptance of Klal Yisrael, the Torah at Har Sinai. Go ahead. Yeah, who would like to read? You Pasuk Yud Tes.
Who was I supposed to go on, or
Okay, take it away.
all right? This Kadavarim Ha'ele Deber Hashem El Kol El Kahalchem Kahalchem Bahar Mitoch Vaeschanan Vaharofel Kol Gadol Yosef Vayiktabem Al Shnei V'Fals Avanim Vayaternaim Eloi. And these words the Eternal spoke to all your assembly in the mount out of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick cloud, with a great voice, and added no more. And he wrote them in 2 tablets of stone and gave them unto me.
Okay, so now let's try and analyze it. Now, I'd like to analyze this pasuk there. I think there are more than 2 or 3 different concepts in this pasuk. Interesting that it's all combined into one pasuk here. So let's try and break down the pasuk into its component parts. Okay, how many component parts do you think is contained in this pasuk?
To the words that Hashem spoke to all your assembly. 1, where it was spoken, where they were spoken, out of the midst of fire. There's 2, and there's also out of the cloud, so another one, 3, and of the thick cloud. I don't know if that's a difference, it's 4, with a great voice by, and he added no more, 6, and he wrote them in 2 tablets of stone, maybe 8, 7, and he gave them unto me, 8.
Right, there are quite a lot of
Yeah.
points here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I don't know about the translation I have. Will I read what the Rashi's got here?
okay, that's good. Let's start. Let's start right with
Below,
Rashi. You start with Rashi.
below Yosef. Mhm. We render this in the Targum by below Cossack, and he did not cease. Because it is characteristic of human beings that they are unable to utter all their words in one breath, but must make pauses. It is characteristic of the Holy One, blessed be He, that this is not so. I don't remember saying. So therefore, so Hashem doesn't have to take a breath. Therefore, he did not pause, and since he did not pause, he did not have to resume, for his voice is strong and goes on continuously. It's in Sanhedrin 17a. Another explanation of below Yosef. He did not again ever reveal himself with such publicity.
Yeah, this is. I want to mention this. Let's think about this. That this was a one-time thing. This what occurred at Har Sinai was something which was unique in all of history and never repeated and never happened before either. So there's a necessity why that should be. That I'll give you an example. The Rambam explains why is it that Moshe Rabbeinu has to be considered the ultimate of prophecy, and that no other prophet can approach the clarity and purity of the prophecy that Moshe Rabbeinu received and experienced. Right? That's necessary for the preservation of Torah Shebiksav and Torah Shabbat as we have it now. What do I mean by that? And what do I think the Rambam means by that? Is that, as the Rambam explains, if there would be a prophet who would be somewhat in any way equal to Moshe Rabbeinu, right? So then a person could come along, Hashem, and say that whatever that other prophet is saying could circumvent or revise that which Moshe Rabbeinu prophesies, right? And that would be a very sore situation for Klal Yisrael, because our uniqueness, our ability to function and continue in this world is based on the eternal aspects of the Torah, the unchanging and eternal aspects of the Torah. Meaning, since we have a Torah which is eternal and unchanging, so that's what gives us continuity from one generation to the next. If the Torah would be Hashem not eternal and Hashem not be unchanging, I mean, it could be subject to revision, right? So then, from one generation to the next, people would always be interested in changing something. They'll always think that they have a better idea. And even if they would say, well, we're not going to do things on our own, but we have a prophet. And if it could be imagined that that prophet that they may have could approach in any way or even surpass Hashem prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu, so then that would be a very difficult situation to maintain the uniqueness and the purity and the continuity and the eternalness of the Torah Kedosha. So likewise, it says, I think that's the same idea over here, that don't think that anything like this ever happened before, and don't think that anything like this is ever going to happen again. No, this is the one and only time that Kadosh Baruch Hu is exclusively revealing himself and giving his Torah to the Jewish people as they desired it at Har Sinai. And it's a one-time thing, because otherwise you might think, well, Hashem gave Torah to the Jews one time, maybe he can give it to the Chinamen another time, or to the Canadians another time, or the Bohemians another time. But no, that would be a complete demolition of the foundations of our Torah, and it's eternal and consistent from one generation to the next. We need, as part of our existence in Olam Hazeh, to have an eternal Torah, just as Kadosh Baruch was eternal and unchanging. His Torah, what's Torah? Torah, in the most simplest aspect that you can imagine, the Torah is simply the concrete expression of Kadosh Baruch Hu's will. What does the Kadosh Baruch Hu want for us? What does he want us to do? So that's all expressed for us in Torah. And since the Kadosh Baruch Hu is eternal and unchanging, his will and his ratzon, his desire for us and his commands for us are also unchanging. So that's a very important aspect that Rashi is pointing out here, that no osif, this will not occur again. Don't think that there's another opportunity for such a thing to happen. No, this is one time and one time only. Okay, let's continue on.
Finish with this, right? Cool. Half of me, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all.
Cool. He כשמעכם אש הכל מתוך החושך וההר באר באש ותקרבון אלה כל ראשי שבטיכם וזקניכם. And it came to pass, when you heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain was consuming with fire, that you approached unto me, even all the heads of your tribes, and your elders.
I think this pasuk we can build on this pasuk that we heard the voice of Hashem within the choshech and the har was bora be'esh, right? And Yikirun Elai Kol Rashi Shvatim V'Zikanim. Well, go to the next pasuk. What did they say? What did they say? All the people, they came to Moshe and they said, what did they say?
21. V'tomeru Hain Haranu Hashem Elokeinu Es Kavado V'es Godolo V'es Kolov Shemanu Mitoch Ha'esh Hayom Hazeh Ra'anu Ki Yidukber Elohim Es Ha'adam V'chai. He said, and you said, behold, the eternal our God has shown us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of fire. We have seen this day that God may speak to man, and yet he remain alive. Perhaps I should go a bit further.
Yeah, there's unfortunately there's no Rashi on this. But what well, let's just think for a moment. What do we think this is intimating over here? What is the statement? They all came. All the people came. Came to Moshe Rabbeinu, and they made a statement to Moshe Rabbeinu. What's this seem to be?
But everybody came, meaning that it says here, all the heads, this is in 20, all the heads of your tribes and your elders. In other words, I think we have to be aware that it was not just the ordinary person who came, but the people of some stature and came, and they recognized Moshe Rabbeinu as being above them. Yeah. And what did they say?
Right.
And they said that Hashem, they're aware that Hashem spoke to them, and Hashem was cloaked in fire, or the voice of Hashem was cloaked in fire.
Right. And I mean, I don't think this is the main point that's being mentioned here, but I think it's a significant. If you would be exposed to such an occurrence that here there's from fire, right? We know that people have a tendency to make things into deities, right? They attribute powers to things, right? And I think it speaks very highly on the behalf of Klal Yisrael that in spite of the fact that they were exposed to such miracles and exposed to this phenomenal point that the voice of the Kadosh Baruch Hu was coming forth through the age, right? That I think it speaks very highly on behalf of Klal Yisrael that they didn't make fire into Avodah Zorah. He didn't start worshiping fire. Could have been for people of a less of a pure background. I mean, we have the background of Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, and Yaakov Avinu. They could have fallen into the trap of Avodah Zorah under such circumstances. Seems reasonable. Okay, let's continue on.
Yeah, it says, but also it's the rest of it says, we've seen this day that God may speak to man and yet remain alive. I think that's also of significance in that at Har Sinai, they asked Hashem not to speak to them, but to go through Moshe Rabbeinu, because they couldn't take it. But here they say, oh look, if it's needed, Hashem can speak to us, and we're not and we won't die. And they question this in the next pasuk I can see.
Oh, very
22,
good.
22, Va'ata lama namus ki sakalenu ha'esh hagodlo hagodolo azos im Yosefim Anachenu Lishma Es Kol Hashem Elokeinu Od Umosnu. Now, therefore, why should we die? Wherefore should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of the eternal our God any more, then we shall die.
Right. Seems to be a bit of a. Right. Don't forget, this is Moshe Rabbeinu saying this now. And so, in fact, Moshe Rabbeinu is giving somewhat of a criticism here. Meaning, you saw that you could hear the voice of Hashem and not die. And you came and you requested that Moshe Rabbeinu intervene. But it could be, theoretically, it wasn't necessary. So therefore, it could be a criticism of Moshe to the Klal Yisrael.
I don't get it. What's the criticism?
Again, don't forget, this is all Moshe Rabbeinu speaking here. He's giving the narrative and the retelling of events that surrounded the giving of the Torah, Matan Torah, at Har Sinai. So he starts off in the Pasuk Chav, Pasuk 20, V'hi kishamchem es akol mitoch ha'esh. And when you heard the voice within the Hoshech and the Har was Bores, ablaze with fire. And now here, V'tikruvun elai, kol Rashi Shavatim v'ziknechem. And they came and approached me, all the heads of the tribes and their elders. V'tomru, and they said, hey, true that we saw Hashem Elokeinu, His kavod, His glory, His godlu, His greatness, V'koilo Shemanu, when we heard His voice, Mitoch Eish, within the Eish, Hayom, as on that day. Verinu, Ki Yidiber Elokim Es Adam B'chai, and we see that Kadosh Baruch Hu does speak to a person and he lives. So you saw that. Yet, Mi'ata Lama Namus. Why should we die? Meaning, one second. You just said Hashem talks to a person and you don't die. So now what are you saying that you're going to die? Right, Roy? That's the question, right?
Question is, why should we die? Wherefore should we die? If we hear Hashem's, if we hear Hashem directly, which is what they've been doing, if we hear Hashem directly, why should we die? But then it follows, for this great fire will consume us. So they're not. So are they talking about the voice or the fire or both?
I'm not sure.
I don't know what the question.
That's another point. But I mean, I don't get it. Meaning, is this voice of Hashem deadly or is it not deadly?
But there's a middle one. It can be deadly, and it cannot be dead, and it can be not deadly. It's not this. I don't think it's deadly or not deadly. Full stop. Deadly full stop or not deadly full stop. It can be deadly if warranted, but not deadly if warranted.
Mhm.
I mean,
Right.
if it's deadly, it's a method of killing somebody, and Hashem knows what's going to happen.
Right. So, but they were afraid of dying, no?
They were afraid of dying, yeah, if they heard Hashem's voice, because they weren't informed that you don't have to die. They thought that if you hear Hashem's voice, then you'll die. So what was the point of hearing Hashem's voice if you're going to die unless you're supposed to die?
Right. But they did say that a person can hear the voice of Hashem and live, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yet they were still afraid of dying.
Mm-hmm. But where does the great fire come in? But this great fire will consume us.
Right.
Because the voice and the fire are connected. It's almost like the fire is a protection as far as it's a protection for the voice. Like you've got the police as a protection for the president or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like so there's Hashem's voice, and the fire is going to carry out its duty of consuming people if it's necessary,
Right.
or simply because you heard the voice. Can we extend it to the inner temple or inner room temple?
In the base of Mikdash you're referring to?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Or leave it out.
I mean, it's related. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's the same concept. You have the two, for example, the two sons of Aaron. What happened to them? Maybe that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, and to saying if you go into the Aaron, then you've had it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I maybe leave that out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Needs a little bit more work, but okay, let's continue on.
When else are we?
Pasuk Gimel.
Ki me kol basor asher shema kol Elohim Chaim medaber mitoch ha'esh k'monu v'yechi 23. For who is there of all flesh that has heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as we have, and lived. Who else in the world has heard the voice of Hashem, who is the living God? He's first of all, he's not a lump of wood or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, that means that there are real powers there, right? There's real something to be really concerned about.
Mm. Yeah.
Let's see, I think 1 second, 1 minute.
23. Do I have 23? 19. I've only got Rashi starting again from 24.
Right. Yeah, we have to see them. It's okay. Let's go to the next pasuk then. Very good.
Kofdalet,
Yeah.
Korev, Atov, Ushama, Ace, Kol, Asher, Yoma, Hashem, Eloheinu, Va'et, Tarabed, Elenu, Ace, Kol, Asher, Yodaber, Hashem, Eloheinu, Elecha, V'shomanu, V'osinu. 24. So after having said that we're going to live hearing the voice, the capital V, approach thou, and hear all that the eternal our God shall say. And speak thou unto all that the eternal God, our God shall speak unto thee, and we will hear it and do it. And then
So this is what's this pasuk in reference to? That here now I think this is the request. This is the request that they're asking Moshe Rabbeinu to be an intermediary. No.
I've lost it. Oh, approach thou and hear all that the eternal God says. Is the thou plural or singular?
Korv Ata, you shall go close. Meaning, I think they're asking of Moshe, you go close. Shema is Asher Omer Shem Elokeinu. You shall hear what Hashem said.
Okay. So it's not asking all the people, just asking one person. They're saying the same thing, that the same request as they said at Mount Sinai.
What do you mean?
At Mount Sinai they said that too. We can't hear Hashem, we're frightened. Moshe Rabbeinu, you're okay talking to Hashem, so you listen to what he's got to say and then relay it to us.
Right.
That's what they asked there, and that's what they're asking here.
Correct. That's right. Very good. Okay, let's go to the next. Let's see. There's a Rashi here. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, and it also says, and we will hear it and do it.
Right. Shemanu v'asinu. Shema,
Yeah.
you hear it?
And we'll
Right.
do it instead of we'll do it and hear it.
Yeah. Very good. That's a very important difference, correct? Very good.
All right, 24 Rashi. The ace Elena, and speak thou. S, the feminine form of the pronoun to us, of the pronoun thou.
Yeah, what does Rashi explain here?
It says, and speak thou, that thou, ace, is a feminine form of thou.
Good, okay.
And speak thou to us. He says on that, you weaken my strength as that of a woman. Compare Rashi on Numbers. XL, what's XL? No. For I was distressed because of you, because of your words, and you weakened my hands, since I saw that you were not anxious to approach him out of love. Indeed, was it not better for you to learn from the mouth of the Almighty God and not to learn from me?
Right? Wouldn't it be better? This is exactly the point that Moshe Rabbeinu is mentioning here. You yourself said that a person can hear the voice of Hashem and live. Nevertheless, right, you're afraid of dying, and therefore you asked me to be an intermediary between you and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. But with that, you in fact weakened my position. Moshe Rabbeinu was criticizing Klal Yisrael for weakening his position. That he now was regulated to be an intermediary with between Hashem and the Jewish people, rather than them hearing it directly. That would have been the best situation if they heard everything directly from Hashem. Okay, next pasuk.
25. Gotta find it. Oh, here we go. Kufay. Okay. Vayishma Hashem Eskol Divrei Chem Bedaber Chem Eila V'yomer Hashem Ha'alai Shema'ati Eskol Divrei Ha'am Hazeh Asher Divru Alecha Hatibur Kol Asher Diberu. 25. And the Eternal heard the voice of your words when you spake unto me, and the Eternal said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken unto thee, and they have well said all that they have spoken.
Okay. Sounds okay. Hashem's giving the approval for this, right?
Seems so, yes.
So, you would say that because you should probably say that there's nothing wrong with it. Then it's a very good point. The Kadosh Baruch Hu's giving the stamp of approval on this. Can't do much better than that, can you?
Probably not. No. No.
Okay, continue on. What? Yeah.
Hashem, Moshe Rabbeinu hasn't said anything to Hashem, I think. Hasn't conveyed that message, has he? Hashem has
No.
heard it. Hashem said, I have heard.
Right. I don't think it mentions anything that Moshe Rabbeinu conveyed the message. Shem. Right.
So Hashem doesn't really need an intermediary. It's just for our convenience, for what we're used to,
Right.
what we
It
expect.
adds significance. Having that adds significance. It's not like simply happening automatically. It's more formal.
All right.
Good. Let's continue on.
26. Kuf Vov. Kuf Vov. Me Yitin Hashem Levavom Ze Lahem Liro Arsi Velishma Es Kol Mitzosai Kol Hayomim Leman Yitav Lahem Belivnehim La'olam. On that, there was such a heart in them that they would fear me. That there was such a heart in them that they would fear me and keep all my commandments all the days, that it might be well with them and with their children forever.
Wow. What kind of a statement is this? Me yitain. What is the statement me yitain?
I don't know, and I don't know who's talking. I think it's Moshe Rabbeinu talking.
Yes, I think so. Correct. That's true.
And I'm saying that only because there are no capital letters for the pronouns.
Right.
That's the only way I knew. So what is Moshe Rabbeinu saying that I wish I was like Hashem in their eyes.
Right. I think this is Moshe Rabbeinu saying that look, you have the opportunity. It's up to you. Me yitain. In whose hands does it rest? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have a few minutes more to continue on. Let's continue on a few more minutes.
All right. Lech, this is Kuf Zayin. Lech Emor Lahem Shuvo Lochem La'ahalechem. Go, say to them, return you into your tents. Chris. Ba'ata, pa, amod, imodi, ba'adabara, alecha, es kol, ba'amitzvah, ba'achukim, והמשפטים אשר תלמדם ועשו בארץ אשר אנוכי נושא בהם לרשתה. But as for thee, this is Hashem talking to Moshe.
Right now, I mean, this is all Moshe saying over what he heard from Hashem. And Hashem said, "Lech emor lahem." Hashem is saying to Moshe, "You lech, you go, emor lahem." You say to them.
But as for thee, stand thou here by me, and I will speak unto thee, unto thee all the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which thou shalt teach them, that they may do them in the land which I give them to possess it.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the mention of Eretz Israel is made here is significant. One second. There's a Shittas Rambam. One second. Okay. One second. Yeah. That there's a shita of the Ramban who explains here that there's a special mention of Eretz Israel in conjunction with the mitzvahs. That the Rambam is trying to find inside, but is of the opinion that the exclusive place for fulfilling mitzvahs is in Eretz Israel. So much so that according to the Rambam, it could be that all mitzvahs performed in outside of Eretz Israel only are midurabanan. The mitzvahs that we do in Eretz Israel are completely different in essence than the mitzvahs we do in Chutz La'aretz, which is I think borne out by this pasuk. You see where it's borne out from this pasuk here.
In the land. They may do them in the land.
Right.
Gives them to possess it.
That you can't take it for granted in Chutz La'aretz. Yeah, there's a very strong base. One of the points based on this pasuk. A very strong um, argument can be made that the real and the only place to do mitzvahs is in Eretz Israel. Meaning in Chutz La'aretz, it would only be a min d'Rabbanan, the rabbinical obligation to keep the mitzvahs in Chutz La'aretz. But except there's sometimes some psukim that make special reference to Chutz La'aretz as well. But in general, any mitzvahs which are not clearly specified about keeping in Chutz La'aretz as well, could very well be considered to be mitzvahs d'Rabbanan that you're fulfilling, not a mitzvah d'oraisa. That and I think that this pasuk bears it out, because the question is, why do you need to mention about Eretz Israel at this point?
Well, there's some mitzvahs that can only be done in
Right,
Eretz Israel.
right. So those are mitzvahs which can only be done in Israel. But the point is, other mitzvahs which can be done just as well in Chutz La'aretz as opposed to the Eretz Israel. So what's the status of those mitzvahs? Right? Are those mitzvahs, when they're done in Chutz La'aretz, considered to be the same level of performance as a person does it when he's in Eretz Israel? Right? I'll give you an example. On Sukkot, maybe you've seen some people. There's a minhag. I'm not saying that everybody does it, but there's a minhag that people they when it comes time to make the bracha on the lulav, the esrog and the dasim and the ovos, they go into the sukkah to make the bracha. And maybe you've seen. Excuse me.
I do that.
Yeah. Oh, so there you go. Right. So what's the advantage of going into the sukkah?
It's part. It's part of the chag. It's just like you eating in the sukkah. It's part of sukkahs.
Right.
It's related.
Well, so in the same way, right? So the same way, mitzvahs should be done in Eretz Israel, right? The mitzvahs are given to us to be performed in Eretz Israel. It could be that, for example, in our time when we're in Gullus, or a person, let's say, has to travel for some reason. So in those circumstances, though, a person may be doing mitzvahs, but it may not be the same level of mitzvah. Meaning, true enough, for example, I'll go back to the case of the lulav, the esrog, and the dasim, and the robos. If a person does not go to the sukkah with his 4 arba, does he still receive the same reward as a person does it who's doing it when in the sukkah? Hard to know, huh? Hard to know.
The thing with doing a mitzvah in Chutz La'aretz, Chutz La'aretz, is that you've got a non-Jewish audience.
Right. It's not so desirable.
Well, in that you're telling them what we are like. If you want to, that we're showing that we're different to them, and we're showing that Hashem has told us to do things, and that they're not included.
Aren't we supposed to be a light unto the nations?
Well, how is us taking a lulav going to give light to the nations?
We're showing them our dedication to Hashem.
Yeah.
We're showing them that we follow what Hashem says.
Well, I don't know if we're really supposed to. I don't know if we're obligated to show the nations. I'm not sure about that. The being a light to the nations. I don't think the Gemara mentions anything about being a light to the nations. That we don't have to show off our mitzvahs to the non-Jews.
But doesn't it say in this week's Parsha that they'll see you do this and they'll think highly of you?
So there's another pasuk which contradicts that. There are two pasukim. We'll have to get to that in a few more parshas. We'll discuss that. But yeah, well, that I think is specifically, if I'm not mistaken, that pasuk specifically referring to Kiddush HaKodesh, and we had the astronomical knowledge to know when the new moon would come. Does Rashi say that over here? I'm not sure. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Okay. Yeah, Rashi says on Pasuk Vav there, V'zos techach shuvu chachamim v'nevoim l'nei ha'amim, that yeah, we'll get to that in the beginning of Parshas. We'll discuss this again when we come to Parshas. Which Parsha is it? Let's look. Right.
Oh, I think we're out of time, Rabbi.
Okay, we'll get to that later on. There's another portion that discusses that. Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Shem, we'll see you next week. Have a good Shabbos. Thank you,
Yeah.
Lou.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roy.
And Roy.
Thank you.
Okay, be well.
All right.
Okay,
Lou,
thank you. Yes.
what time is it for Rabbi Levitt?
45, 7 minutes from now.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, see you there.
Right.
Shalom.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Shalom.